Order at 7 p.m. on March 1st, 2012. Please join me in standing as James Good leads the board's opening prayer.
Our Father, we are truly thankful for this wonderful day you blessed us with, and especially for this opportunity this evening as we come together for this meeting. Help us to understand and appreciate the influence we have upon so many people in our school district. But especially, Father, we especially offer thanks to our VIPs that we have the privilege to recognize them and to be able to say thank you to them. And Father, we're always mindful of student achievement. We ask always that you will bless all of our students with the appreciation and the understanding of their academic success. And especially we ask that you'll be with all of our students as we approach spring break and provide them with safety during that period of time. Father, may also the administration, the staff, the parents, may we all work together for the common goal of our school district. Help us to always remember our responsibility to all of our students and to help all students be successful. And this is our prayer. Amen.
Amen.
Please remain standing as Richard Fleming leads the board in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. As a district, we dedicate all our efforts and resources to the education and preparation of all students. The board uses this mission to guide all deliberations, decisions, and actions. You will get to see all deliberations, decisions, and actions of the board in open session, with the exception of some items which may be discussed in a closed session as stipulated in the Texas Government Code Section 551, commonly known as the Open Meetings Law. For the record, the board is here except for Ms. Webb, and we do constitute a quorum and can conduct business on behalf of the district. That being said, I'll turn the meeting over to Dr. Burns for Agenda Item 1A, welcome and recognition of guests.
Thank you, Ms. Klein. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We're very honored that you've chosen to spend a part of your evening with us here tonight and celebrate with our VIPs as well as our board meeting and operation tonight. So if you could stay around, we would certainly invite you to do so. But first on our list is our VIP program, and tonight we will honor our newest members in the very important profession of teaching program. We have been honoring our VIPs for over 25 years in this district. Our VIP program is our way of saying thank you to our professional staff for being innovative leaders in learning who diligently work to meet the needs of all our students. We want to recognize their efforts in making our schools a great place for quality learning to occur. To our honored guests, the Board of Trustees and the administration say thank you. Thank you for being a member of the Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD team and for being an innovator who has a positive influence on the lives of students. Educators, please come forward tonight when your principal introduces you to receive your certificate. And if there are staff members, friends, and family here tonight to celebrate this recognition with you, please stand as your VIP is introduced. And now, Ms. Klein, would you please join me in the front to recognize our honored guests?
I might take my mother there for breakfast, maybe. I was telling her that I was just... Don't have some? Wow.
Good evening, Mrs. Klein, members of the school board, and Dr. Burns. My name is Becky Taylor. I'm the principal at Central Elementary. It is my honor tonight to introduce our newest member in the very important profession of teaching, Lori Canales. Lori has been a member of the CFB ISD team since 2004. She began her career at Central as an exceptional first grade teacher, and in 2008 she was named Language Arts Instructional Facilitator. Lori is our District Improvement Committee representative, was honored at the Unsung Heroes Breakfast, and has served as team leader and GT liaison while at Central. After a full day of morning duty, afternoon duty, small group instruction, meeting the needs of teachers, serving on SNAP, tutorials, facilitating professional development, ordering and cataloging materials, Lori goes home to her family, Indy and Jones, her little Yorkies. She is an avid Texas Rangers fan and runs marathons and exercises. She is our firecracker. As the instructional facilitator, Lori is an anchor on my instructional leadership team. Her can-do attitude provides the resourcefulness she needs to provide support, knowledge, and skills for teachers to be effective and successful in helping our students achieve at high levels. The staff learns when watching her, whether it is while she works with a group of students or while she works with the entire staff. One always walks away with at least one aha moment when watching Miss Canales. She never complains about the tremendous responsibility she holds at Central Elementary. Through her stellar organization with the Reading is Fundamental program, or RIF, if you're familiar with that, we watch the faces of 743 children beam when they receive their first free book of the year from RIF. Lori takes the time to have each child write down 3 book choices, and then she works tirelessly to give them their first choice if possible. This way, each student is given the opportunity to select a favorite book and continue their love of reading. Since tomorrow is Dr. Seuss's birthday and the National Read Across America Day, it is appropriate to end with a quote from Dr. Seuss. "The more that you read, the more things you will know. The more you learn, the more places you'll go." Lori exemplifies this belief in all that she does for our students at Central. Congratulations, Lori Canales. We appreciate you so much.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Ferris, principal at Country Place Elementary. Dr. Burns, Ms. Klein, and members of the board, it is with the greatest pleasure and honor that I introduce to you the newest VIP for Country Place Elementary, Ms. Kathy Gilliland. And as a tradition, we always... This is a 10-year tradition, and we just can't stop yet. I am so fortunate to share information with you about Ms. Gilliland, who, by the way, is actually receiving this prestigious recognition for a second time, having earned it at another campus before she came to Country Place 2 years ago. Kathy is the music teacher at our school, where she greets each class in the hallway with a melody that goes something like this. Why don't you do it for us?
Hello, Eagles.
Hello, Mrs. G. And that's how they respond every morning. We hear it 6 or 7 times a day. When selecting the VIP for our school, many kind thoughts were shared, such as she's a team player and has totally turned our music program around. She is loved and respected by all and is very dependable. And they say she is one of the hardest working teachers on our campus. She's always smiling and reflects a very positive attitude every day. Her peers also share how cool it is that she connects with her students using music in such a fun way. And Kathy, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the numerous comments about your styling shoes. Actually, those come in very handy for dancing in class and each week during Frenzy Friday. And I just want to say that, Lori, as you were walking to the front, first thing she said was, "Oh, look at those shoes." Speaking of Frenzy Friday, that's a time when we recognize students and teachers for things they've done throughout the week, which always includes a grade level performance produced and directed by Kathy. Another thing we love about Mrs. G is her let's go for it attitude. And as a campus administrator, I'd like to personally say how that is greatly appreciated because she never, ever, ever says no to any idea presented to her, no matter how unrealistic, how spontaneous, or maybe even slightly unreasonable. Like, for example, when I convinced her in a moment's notice to coordinate an invisible hula hoop contest amongst some unsuspecting teachers during Frenzy Friday one week. It was a hilariously good time, and all because she was willing and ready with all the necessary invisible hula hoops. And by the way, she also helps choreograph and teach students new dances so that we might maintain physically fit in a grooving and moving kind of way, and always with those styling shoes on. By the way, do y'all know how to do the Dougie? Do y'all know how to do the Dougie? Everybody at Country Place knows how to do the Dougie. Let's just show them just a little bit. If there's any students here too, they know how to do the Dougie. Ready? Go, and 1 and 2. See, and she taught us how to do it, but everybody. And Michelle Obama is the one who got us started doing that. So it's an important dance that everybody needs to learn. It's easy to see why we love Kathy, and we're glad that she loves us too. For these and so many reasons, we say thank you, Kathy, for helping to build our school community by sharing your talents and kind spirit. We appreciate all that you do for each of our students through an incredible music program. Congratulations, Kathy Gilliland, for being recognized as the newest, very important professional for Country Place Elementary.
Good evening. I'm Abby McCone, the principal at Las Colinas Elementary, and I'm here tonight to recognize Miss Katie Cannon as a member of the very important profession of teaching. Miss Cannon is a graduate of Louisiana Tech. She's taught elementary students for 7 years, 4 of which have been in the 5th grade at Las Colinas. In her time at Las Colinas, Katie has sponsored the Girls Running Club, served as the team leader, served on the Campus Improvement Council, and is a key player in our voyage into instructional rounds. Katie's co-workers describe her as a strict schedule keeper that works long hours and has a notorious Diet Coke habit. She has a positive attitude as she works tirelessly with those students who truly need her help. When dealing with challenging behaviors, she is consistent and calm. She does an outstanding job juggling all of the stuff that 5th grade does at Las Colinas. She believes all of her students can do it, so she expects it of all of them. She carries a big load. These are still comments from some of your co-workers. She carries a big load and always gets the job done. She is an asset to our school. When I read a lot of these comments, one out of all of them that the staff sent to me, there was one that caught my attention. The first line in Mrs. Soto's email read, "The very first day I met Katie, we had to sleep in the same bed." So I read on. It was before school started in August of 2008 in Round Rock, Texas at an IB training conference. For both of us, it was our first year at Las Colinas. The school had only paid for 2 hotel rooms. I think budget cuts, I don't know. But we had 3 people attending the conference. We were the lucky 2 that got to share the room. After checking in, we went up to the room, and upon opening the door, much to our dismay, we saw only one full-size bed for the 2 of us to share. And it was a bit awkward for both of us. As you can imagine, sharing a hotel room with a complete stranger, then to realize you'd be sharing a bed. I only hoped she didn't have any strange habits. Of course, all went well, and I knew she was going to be a great co-worker when she didn't snore or take all the covers. So nothing like, hello, it's nice to meet you. Which do you want, the left side or the right? I don't know. Okay, well, Katie, you're loved by all of your co-workers. You're respected by the parents and the staff at the school, and they could not have made a better choice when choosing you as our very important profession of teaching. Representative.
Good evening, Dr. Burns and distinguished board members. I'm Charlotte Sasser, principal of Rainwater Elementary, and it is my pleasure to introduce our VIP for 2011, Paul Morrison, coach as he's fondly known. Paul has worked for CFB for 17 years in various coaching positions and currently serves the students of Rainwater Elementary as a physical education teacher. Prior to coming to Rainwater, Paul taught at both Central and Kent Elementary. He also helped open both Barbara Bush and Ranch View High School, where he was the assistant basketball coach for 5 years, while simultaneously working as the PE teacher at Rainwater. Talk about a dribbling act. Oh, and I can't forget to say, in '06, he helped his team to go to the state finals. Way to go, Coach. Paul's commitment to stay the course with CFB was tempted in '09 by the prospect of a head basketball coaching position in Prairie Land High School in his hometown of Blossom, Texas. But he quickly realized that CFB was truly the place he wanted to be for his family and his career. And instead of the position, he returned to Rainwater and began working on his master's in education. Paul graduated last year with a master's in education and recently passed the exam to become a principal. Along with his other duties as PE teacher, Paul has helped serve Rainwater as the ATB site director for 3 years and as our insurance representative for the district for our school. He is currently serving as team leader and for the specials team and as our DIC rep. Last year, Paul helped with preparation for the tax test and Friday night school. However, Paul's most enjoyable moments are those spent with his students. A few of his students have these comments to say: Coach is funny, Coach makes us have good sportsmanship, and Coach just wants us to have fun but learn how to dribble the ball the proper way. So, Rainwater is truly honored tonight to celebrate Paul Morrison as a member of the very important profession of teaching.
Dr. Burns, Ms. Klein, members of the school board, good evening. I'm Randy Wells, and I'm Executive Director of Special Education, and I'm here this evening to honor Ms. Nada Berner, our newest member in the very important profession of teaching. Nada is one of 3 adapted physical education, or APE, teachers we have in CFB. APE teachers work with general education, physical education teachers to modify or adapt the PE curriculum for individual students with disabilities. Nada has been working with students with disabilities for 25 years. She started working as a paraprofessional in an early childhood classroom and then went on to earn a bachelor's degree at TWU. Before coming to CFB, Nada had worked 10 years in Denton ISD in their JJAEP, and then in a classroom with students with severe cognitive and physical disabilities. While there, she heard about a grant to a graduate program at TWU for adapted PE. A self-proclaimed sports fanatic, she thought being an APE teacher would be the job of her dreams, combining her love of sports with her love of working with students with disabilities. Luckily, we helped make her dream come true when we hired Nada 6 years ago in CFB. Her colleagues are most complimentary of Nada. I quote, "She's a team player who's always willing to go above and beyond the call of duty, both professionally and personally. Nada is very sensitive to the needs of our students." Another said, "Nada is the kind of person that will dance like no one's watching and to the beat of her own drummer." Nada never hesitates to get involved with recreational or give us an example. or leisure programs that benefit kids with disabilities. Along with our 2 other adapted PE teachers, Leslie Hollenchuk and Kim Cantor, Nada works tirelessly to implement the Special Olympics events and activities in CFB. She's also involved in Kid Medic Games, Sports Extravaganza, Camp Life, and Casey's Run. Nada has a heart of gold and always puts the best interest of our students first. Marie Huey Special Ed Center and CFB are indeed fortunate to have Miss Nada Berner as a member of the very important profession of teaching.
Good evening. I'm Bridget O'Connor, principal at McCamey Elementary School. And while we weren't on the agenda, we just had to crash this party because we are so proud of our VIP, Kendall Brown. Kendall is a very proud mother of McKenna, who's letting us know, and her husband Stephen is here as well. Kendall is a product of Carrollton-Farmers branch, having attended McLaughlin Elementary School, where she could have had me as a 5th grade teacher, but she was lucky enough to have Miss Williams as her 5th grade teacher. She attended Vivian Field Middle School, graduated from R.L. Turner High School, and after attending Texas Women's University, we were fortunate enough to have her as our student teacher, and once we got to know her, we knew we had to have her part of our team. She's just an incredible person. She's been doing an excellent job teaching our 4th grade ever since. Kendall touches the lives of students in a positive way each and every day. She strives to encourage every student to believe they're capable of great things. Her students' comments were very complimentary of her. One student told me that she's the best teacher because she's hilarious and knows how to crack a good joke. Those of us adults at McCamey kind of question that one, but one student, Isabel, heard she was receiving this award, so she decided to write my speech for me. It's titled, "What Makes Mrs. Brown a Great Teacher?" It goes on to include, many people don't know how great Miss Brown is as a teacher, but I've come to realize that she's an awesome person and teacher. Mrs. Brown is an awesome teacher because she cares about our feelings. One time I was sad and she made me feel better. Mrs. Brown is a great teacher because she never fusses at us. She's always encouraging us to do our best. It also included a self-portrait with her beautiful hair, but I didn't bring that with me tonight. Kendall is probably the most positive person you will ever meet and always has a positive outlook, even while taking the 4th graders swimming or helping them run Trailblazer Cafe. I'm not the only one who sees her as a positive influence. Several of her colleagues said Kendall not only goes above and beyond with her students, but she's always willing to help out other teachers. She goes above and beyond the call of duty and is always striving to do the right thing. We lovingly call her our Dudley Do-Right. As a principal, she's one of those teachers that it's a dream to have. She's eager to learn and grow and is the first one to implement any new idea or suggestion in her classroom. I will conclude with her student Isabel's words. Other people should know how great a teacher Mrs. Brown is. She really deserves this VIP award because Mrs. Brown is an awesome teacher. Kendall, we are so proud of you and so glad you're a McCamey Trailblazer, and I didn't cry this time.
That concludes our VIP recognition, but we'd like to share some board and district announcements with you. So if you'll turn your attention to the screen, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are students from the Academy for Media Arts and Technology at the wonderful R.L. Turner High School. We are very pleased to present to you tonight the board announcements for the month of March. So sit back, relax, and kick up your feet as you are amazed by all the wonderful things the Carrollton-Farmers Branch Independent School District has going on.
And of course, when you examine CFB ISD, you are always going to notice the awesome academic successes that are going on every day in the district. For the past 2 years, Dr. Burns and leadership team have met with the faculty and staff of the school. that earned either exemplary or recognized rating for the 2010-2011 school year through the Texas Education Agency's accountability system. An amazing 31 CFB-ISD schools earned either one of those ratings last year. The schools that were visited recently by Dr. Burns were Blair Elementary, recognized; McCoy Elementary, exemplary; McLaughlin Primary, Strickland Intermediate, recognized.
With all these great schools, it is no wonder CFB-ISD is a bright spot in public education. Did you know for 2010, CFB-ISD ranked 17th out of the top 200 largest school districts in Texas in academics according to the Education Research Group? You can find out more bright spots about CFB-ISD by visiting www.cfbisd.edu/brightspots. And speaking of bright spots in CFB, have you heard the great things parents, staff, and community members are saying about the district? Check out our testimonials at www.cfbisd.edu/testimonials. You too can share your story about cfbisd.edu at www.cfbisd.edu.share. Let us know all your great experiences with CFB-ISD. Accolades abound in CFB-ISD. Students and staff in the Carrollton-Farmers branch ISD are simply amazing. Each and every day they are achieving at high levels. Recently, our district won a statewide award from the Texas School Public Relations Association on its Realtor website called YCFB. We encourage you to check it out at www.cfbisd.edu/YCFB.
And what makes CFB such a great district? I would have to say all the wonderful people that devote so much of their time to make our community and district a shining success. And one of those events where you can see hundreds of CFB volunteers do their thing is at the annual Casey's Run, 1 mile family fun run, and 5K race. This year and every year, the event benefits the All-Stars Special Olympics team of CFB-ISD. The event takes place on March 24th at Standard Stadium in Carrollton. Opening ceremonies begin at 8 o'clock a.m. You can register online for the 1 mile family fun run and 5K race at cfbisd.edu/Casey.
Casey's Run and numerous other events and organizations around the district owe much of their success to corporate sponsors. Thank you, Albertsons, for being a wonderful supporter of CFB. The Albertsons organization recently gave $7,500 to the RLT Orchestra for new uniforms. Thank you so much for all your support.
With all this hard work going on to create and run these events, you always need a little time to relax with some time off. The district spring break will be March 12th through the 16th. All campuses and district offices will be closed. Everyone enjoy a fun, safe week.
That's it for tonight's announcements. Our next regular school board meeting is Thursday, April 5th at 7 p.m. in the boardroom of the Administration Building, 1445 North Perry Road, Carrollton. There will also be a board work study session on April 19th at 6:30 p.m. in the boardroom. Have a great, relaxing rest of the week. Good night.
Ms. Klein, that concludes our recognition and our announcements tonight.
I wanted to thank each of the schools, including the one that barged in tonight, for being here, and the staff for presenting your VIPs to us. We love hearing about the energy and spirit that they share with our students. We all appreciate, but Mr. Shore especially, appreciates the physical activities and the singing and the things that add on to the school day also. He thinks that we all learn better if we move.
We do.
So,
no debate about it.
And most of all, we do thank our VIPs and our other staff members for choosing our district to work in. Thank you. At this time, it's 7:30, and we're going to take a brief 10-minute recess for those that may choose not to stay for the report by superintendent, which is agenda item 2. But in the meantime, during the 10-minute break, I'd like to remind the audience that the board encourages comments from citizens of the district or from district employees. Anyone wishing to speak, either as an individual or as a representative of a group, may do so during the agenda item 3A audience for guests. The board asks that these comments pertain to public education issues and be no longer than 3 minutes. Ms. Candy Smith has the Audience for guest forms are outside the door on the table, and she'll be collecting them here at the corner of our table. So at this time, we'll take a 10-minute recess, and I fear we'll miss some of y'all. Thank you. The Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD Board of Trustees back to order at 7:40 p.m. We are on agenda item 2, report by superintendent. 2A is presentation on student achievement, special education. Dr. Burns.
Thank you, Ms. Klein. And members of the board, of course, every board meeting we highlight student achievement in our district, and we're certainly proud of our special education department. And before I turn it over to Dr. Mayer to introduce the special ed department and Randy Wells, I want to say that we recently had a speaker in the district who was speaking to the council PTAs and our principals, and she said she was so impressed with our goal because it included the word all students. And that's what we see with special ed. It's all our students at high achievement levels that we strive for. So we are very proud of that and proud of the work that our special ed department is doing to reach that goal. So, Dr. Mayer?
Thank you, Dr. Burns. Well, this district enjoys a stellar reputation for our special education department. It's much deserved. We have a long history of providing high-quality services tailored to meet individual students' needs. It is led by Ms. Randy Wells, who does an excellent job. She's our Executive Director of Special Education. But she has with her this evening, and I know she will be introducing some very, very fine special educators who really make sure that all does mean all for CFB. Ms. Wells, turn it over to you.
Again, I'm Randy Wells, and I'm here to present information about our special education department. And the goal of Carrollton-Farmers Branch ISD is high achievement for all students, and that was I was going to start, but thank you, Dr. Burns.
You're welcome.
We'll emphasize it again. And also, the Department of Special Education is in the Division of Educational Services under the guidance and support of Dr. Sheila Mayer. The administrative team includes myself as well as 3 wonderful coordinators who are here tonight. When I call your name, please stand up. You have Jan Kelsey, Karen Ward, and Kayla Daniel. These are the 3 coordinators. In addition to the coordinators, we have lead support team, and this evening we have Dixie Pennington, our lead speech pathologist. We also Ms. Tarpley taught Dixie how to type.
Right.
I told her what a great typer she was. We also have, they're unable to be here, but we have Kathy Owens is our lead diagnostician, Anita Shepard is our lead OT, and Lynn Johnson is our lead BRS. The leadership team at Huey is made up of the coordinators and the leads, and we also have Joan Burke, who's a consultant, and we are comprised the decision-making team for special education. CFB serves 2,618 students, and that's, fluctuates a little bit throughout the year. We have transfer students move in, and sometimes we have students that move out. But we serve students birth through 21 years of age, so you can see that we start early, and we serve some of our students longer. The students birth to 3 are students with auditory impairment or visual impairment, and they receive services in their home. And when a student is 2, about to turn 3, we evaluate the student, and if they're eligible, we place them in services by their 3rd birthday anytime during the school year. Also, to look at that number, 2,618 students, to put it in perspective, students in CFB special education department would be equivalent to the number of students in a 5A high school. Also, another point of interest is that there are approximately 800 school districts in the state of Texas that have in their entire district, including general ed students and special ed students, fewer total students than we serve in our department. This slide illustrates how well our over 2,600 students served in special ed performed on the state tax test in 2011 compared to other students with disability in the state. This is an apples-to-apples comparison. The areas tested are down the left, and the CFB percentages are in blue. Across the top, tax and tax accommodated are combined scores as they are both on grade level assessments. And as you may or may not know, that this year, the STAR assessment, there's no longer an accommodated assessment for students with disabilities. The next column is tax M and then tax alt. And I am personally very proud of our students, our teachers, and our staff, because as you can see, our CFB students outperform the state in every area across the board. These are the different eligibility categories that we serve. As you can see, there's a range of eligibilities, and students representing all these eligibilities were assessed on the tax, and their performance was noted on the previous slide. We serve students with mild disabilities to students with severe and profound intellectual disabilities who also may be medically fragile. So we have a huge range of students that we serve. Some of our students are twice exceptional. They're eligible for special education as well as the Gifted Jerry's LEAP program. And then we may have students that require ongoing daily medical procedures in our classrooms. And this slide shows the scope of our special education staff in CFB who serve a vast range of student needs. There's 279 professional staff, and additionally we have clerical staff at Murray Huey as well as instructional paraprofessional staff on campuses who help our students and teachers. Special education is a two-pronged process. The student has to have an identified disability and require specially designed instruction. Special education is mandated under 2 federal laws, IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, as well as NCLB, No Child Left Behind. And there are two key components, some key components to special education: FAPE, which is a free, appropriate public education, as well as LRE, which is the least restrictive environment, and now a term that's being used is AGC, access to the general curriculum. So for our students, LRE for one student may look very different than LRE for another student. We offer our students a full continuum of service options and support in CFB. They range from general ed classes with support to self-contained classes with inclusion opportunities, depending on the individual needs of the student. And our self-contained classes in elementary and middle school are centrally located throughout our school district. We also offer related services. Related services are put in place to assist a student with a disability benefit from their special education services. We also offer extended school year services. Put this all up here. Students have to be found eligible for ESY services. They're provided in June, July, and August, and last summer we served 92 students. The district also has a child fine responsibility. A child fine is when any student residing in our school district in need of special education-related service is identified, located, and evaluated. And so we take referrals from school personnel, parents, doctors, community members, and we also advertise our services. We do district trainings, we send out letters to physicians in the area, we have brochures and posters to get the word out about our services. The special education process. If there's a concern about a student's progress, the campus will implement RTI, response to intervention. It's a 3-tier model, and students not demonstrating progress after completing Tier 3, then a referral to special education is appropriate. We get parents' signed informed consent, and that starts the referral process. We do a complete evaluation, and we hold, after the evaluation is finished, we hold an admission review and dismissal, or an ARD meeting, and that meeting includes the parents, and we certainly encourage parental participation, and it also includes school personnel. And the purpose of the meeting is to review the evaluation and determine if the student is eligible for special education services. If they are, the art committee develops an IEP, which are goals and objectives, and they look at those goals and objectives and determine the best placement in the LRE, the least restrictive environment, where those goals and objectives can be met for the student. Accountability for student learning. Our students, again, will take the state assessment. The STAR modified, and the STAR alt will be offered, and the appropriate STAR assessment is determined by the student's art committee. One of the things I also wanted to talk to you about tonight is one of our new programs that we started last year called Functional Skills Workshop. We did a needs assessment, and we realized we needed to improve opportunities for students with cognitive disabilities who completed all their credits but remained with us for ages 18 to 21-year-olds. And so we were fortunate to have the benefit of our stimulus funds, which allowed us to set up a functional skills workshop program on each of the high school campuses. And I want to also thank Eileen Ortega and the staff from Creekview High School for providing the photographs and slides on functional skills workshop. Functional Skills Workshop, the students work on pre-vocational skills, community access, and independent living. And independent living is very important for the outcome for our students when they leave us. Functional Skills Workshop is designed for students to benefit from vocational training and activities of daily living experiences. Students learn to access the community safely and effectively, and they have supervision. And the program prepares students to be as independent as possible in post-secondary environments. And the next few slides will be some photographs of our students out in the community and having experiences to help them. Oh, good, you can see them. This is independent living. They often learn to prepare their own food. And they work on daily living skills and also recreation and leisure activities. And again, the emphasis is to get the students as independent as possible. This is community-based instruction. And as an example, the students went to Papa Murphy's. They walked from Creekview. I guess there's one close by. They learned how to make the dough. They made their own pizza. They brought it back to Creekview, and they baked it, and they ate it. That was really nice of the owner of Papa Murphy's to work with our students and do that. And here's one of our students using the dough-making machine. The other thing our students do is they help out in their school community. And at Creekview, the Functional Skill Workshop students help the athletic department each day by folding towels and sorting uniforms. They match the uniform number on top with the uniform number on the bottom, and then they match that number to the locker. So they help the athletic department each day. They also have opportunities to go out and shop in the community. We appreciate the cooperation of the community and the campuses in helping our students make progress. This program will improve opportunities available to our students and when they leave their post-secondary environments. We're also proud of our All-Star Special Olympics team. The CFB Special Ed Department established the All-Stars in 1999, and we started with 16 athletes. And 13 years later, we have over 200 athletes from 22 campuses. Students who are 8 years old or older who have an intellectual disability or a closely related developmental disability can participate. And in CFB, we participate in bowling in the fall and track and field in the spring. Speaking of track and field, we will have our 12th annual Special Olympics Invitational Track Meet at Stanridge Stadium on March 28th. This year we're welcoming over 511 athletes from 8 visiting area school districts, and I invite all of you to come because it is a most heartwarming experience. And I realize this was mentioned earlier, but Casey's Run is at Stanridge Stadium March 24th, and it's held in memory of Casey Breckus, and it's very important to us because it helps benefit our All-Stars team, and we certainly can do it without the help, and we appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ward.
Any questions, board members? Mr. Richard?
Among the the eligibility categories, you said that we scored better than the state average. What are some of the programs that you think that contributed to that? I mean, what do you think contributed to the success of CFB-ISD scoring better than the state average in most of those categories that you described?
We work really hard, and we have smart kids. And, you know, we have a lot of support, and we believe that all students achieve at high levels. So we have high expectations for our students.
I think it also has to do with the fact that we've had a strong special ed program for so many years, and that we've put so much emphasis on it, as opposed to many districts who don't like to recognize that they have special needs children. So I think that a lot of credit goes to you and to your special ed staff for identifying our students and identifying them early enough where we can get them serviced as soon as possible. And then mainstreaming has helped a lot with having them in with the regular children also.
And I would like to add that, you know, we really work as a team. And Mr. Fleming, the content coordinators that work and help, like our math coordinator that works with our math teachers to help them know how to best teach mathematics, also work with our special ed teachers in helping them know how to teach mathematics. And so special ed isn't a standalone over here by itself, but they're working collaboratively with all the curriculum coordinators and everyone else. So I think that all the good programs that we have that are designed have contributed to their success, and then the fact that we provide professional development in mathematics for special ed teachers, just like we do for all teachers, from the expert in the field.
Thanks for the presentation.
Mr. Goode?
Ms. Wells, how many of our students attend more than one campus in a school day? That is, do we have a large number or a specific number of students who are transported between different campuses in a school day?
They wouldn't go during a school day, but you could have your home campus, could be any campus in the district, and let's say you would require, or you're arted into a self-contained autism classroom, then you would be transported from your home to that school where that program exists, and then back to your home at the end of the day. But we do not have students that are transported during the school day.
Okay. And any transportation, as you've described, though, for example, as you were talking about, I believe it was autism, do we provide that transportation?
Dallas County Schools, the same transportation the rest of the school district uses.
Mr. Short?
Ms. Wells, 2 weeks ago, I attended a school board conference in Corpus Christi. And I got exposed to what's known as Vollmer's, V-O-L-L-M-E-R', Vollmer's List.
Okay.
And I'm not going to tell you what it is,
okay,
which you can find out on, but schools can't do it alone. I'll just bait the audience with that. I'm hoping you can do something for the board.
Sure.
I know you've got plenty of time on your hands.
Thank you for recognizing.
In your spare time, and if you could furnish us by July, I'd be thrilled.
Okay.
If you could give us a listing of what schools have had to take on with special ed, say starting from 1970 to 1980 to 1990 to 2000, I think the board members would be interested in seeing if the school's responsibilities have increased with the passage of that time. And so if you could furnish, I'd be curious in seeing that list.
Okay.
If you could do that. And I know that...
Is CFB or schools in general?
Schools in general. Because I know that we're doing that. But my supposition is that what we're doing now is probably vastly different from what was done in 1970.
Absolutely.
And perhaps it would be illuminating to see the progression on paper.
Because probably years ago when you were in school, you probably don't remember too many students with disabilities who were your classmates.
That's probably very true.
But here's the thing to remember, that the thinking now is that, and this is the truth, that all students are general ed students first. And that even though people tend to look at that special ed class or kids in special education, truthfully, every student starts as a general ed student, and what we offer is support. And that support looks different. It might look different for this student than the one next to him or her.
I don't doubt that, but I'm just thinking that what we're doing now is probably vastly different.
Yes.
The other thing I want to ask you, and because Cloyd's not here, you probably get the brunt of this. Okay?
Oh, good.
Of the 2,600...
See, someone even said a "oh" back there.
2,600 kids in special ed, how many of those do we get to excise from our test scores for rating purposes?
Yeah, 0.
So we don't get to...
It's all kids count now.
Every one of them says.
And so I saw a category that said deaf blind.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that we have some kids who are deaf and are blind. And that child takes a test, and that test score impacts our rating.
Yes.
And last time, we're a recognized district, is that not correct, Dr. Burns?
Yes, sir. Under the state's accountability system recognized.
We have 2,600 kids getting specialized treatment. That's about a tenth of that's more than a tenth of the population.
Right at 10%. Yeah.
10%. Thank you.
Board members, do you have any other questions?
I have a comment.
Ms. Chaffin?
Is it correct that we still have in Texas 1,149 school districts, give or take?
Roughly, give or take. It kind of changes daily these days with the financial situation, but yeah, I think that's about right.
Give or take? Well, if we have, given that the population that you mentioned, the 2,600 kids, and that was more than 800 school districts, then our special ed population is larger than 69% of the districts in the state of Texas.
Yes, ma'am.
Just our population, special ed population.
accurate.
And given also what Mr. Shore was saying about the inclusion of all of their scores in with all of the rest of our scores, you do an excellent job with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank to my team.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're at Agenda Item 3, Board Operations. Agenda Item 3A is Audience for Guests. Ms. Smith, do we have any audience for guests tonight? The board encourages comments from citizens of the district or from district employees, but remember that the board may not discuss or act on any issues that are not posted on our agenda for tonight's meeting. If an issue mentioned is listed on tonight's agenda, the board may defer discussion until the appropriate time during the meeting. We have one audience for guests, is Will Montgomery, and we allow 3 minutes, and Mr. Good is our timer. And we ask that you come over here to the microphone and address the board.
Thank you for letting me speak. Board members, I'd like to say that I'd like to speak to the issue of open enrollment. I know there have been adjustments to it, but I would like to make again a plea for some consensus on this issue. My son Gordon's a 7th grade student at Mary Immaculate School. His 2 best friends are students at Mary Immaculate School. Like my son, his 2 friends have lived their entire lives in Farmers Branch. These 2 friends are outstanding students. Both are Duke scholars at their school. These boys are capable of offering great things for their future high school and providing capable leadership for the future of their community. Why would we turn them away from CFFB high schools? These kids are going to be our future leaders. Why would CFB schools want to make it less attractive for kids who live in the district, like my son, to not choose a Carrollton-Farmers branch school, and make it less attractive to not choose a Carrollton-Farmers branch because CFB ISD wants to exclude his two best friends from attending CFB schools? It's time to do the right thing. It's time to recruit the best and the brightest of Farmers Branch kids. Don't exclude them. It's time to tear down the artificial wall, start building a better community by growing and nurturing the entire community. Members of the board, please, you have a chance to help find the next Bill Gates, Linda French Gates. Find them, nurture them, and make them a proud Carrollton Farmers Branch alumnus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rankin. I think, as I stated, this is not a posted agenda item, so we cannot respond.
Well, actually, it is, isn't it?
You're going to, the board tonight will approve the second reading of their policy. The policy that the board will approving will give the district administration to allow open transfers from outside. And then as we discussed, the administration would develop the guidelines and regulations, again, based on space and geographical location. Obviously, that's one of the areas that we're targeting because it is close to our district in terms of the geographical area. But we do have space concerns that we have to consider as well. So we will be drafting those as soon as the board finishes approval of the policy, then we'll be able to finalize the regulations. So, and that is our intent, to look at as broad a scope as we can within the space that we have available at our schools. So,
just find the best, recruit the best, nurture the best.
Absolutely, and we're honored that they want to come. So we're very honored.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go to item 3B, consent agenda. 3B1, election of personnel. 3B2, consider approval of administrative contracts. 3B3, consider approval of temporary disability leave. 3B4, review TASB Update 92 legal policies and add, revise, or delete local policies, including deletion of policy EIAB local as recommended by TASB Policy Service and District Administrative Staff, second reading. 3B5, consider approval of revised board policy FDA. 3B6, consider out-of-state travel requests for DeWitt Perry and R.L. Turner students to travel to Norman, Oklahoma, March 9th through 10th, 2012, to participate in the 2012 Oklahoma Regional Bop Ball Competition. 3B7, consider out-of-state travel requests for Newman Smith High School Bop Ball team to travel to Norman, Oklahoma, March 9th through 10th, 2012, to attend the Oklahoma Bop Ball Competition. 3B8, consider out-of-state travel requests for R.L. Turner Theater students to travel to New York City, New York, March 9th through 12th, 2013, to attend New York Broadway. I guess they don't want to go to the Bop Ball competition. 3B9, consider financial report for December 2011. 3B10, consider quarterly investment report for the quarter ending November 30th, 2011. 3B11, consider approval of the Logic investment pool as an authorized investment. 3B12, consider all matters related to joint elections and election services with Dallas County Elections Department, including authorizing the superintendent or associate superintendent for administrative and support services to execute the joint election agreement and election services contract. 3B13, consider approval of election order for the May 12, 2012 Board of Trustees election. 3B14, consider approval of change order number 1 to Corbett Group for additional services for the Long Middle School concession stand and field improvements. 3B15, consider RFP number 12-02-141-1 for special education materials and equipment. 3B16, consider approval of purchase of ProLogic Teams student software annual support agreement. 3B17, consider approval of purchase of telephone system and network equipment for Good Elementary. 3B18, consider acceptance of purchasing report for the period February 2nd, 2012. 3B19, consider exercising the extension option of RFP number 10-02-221-3 for voluntary disability insurance. 3B20, consider exercising the extension option of RFP number 11-01-111-3 for employee benefit options. 3B21, consider all matters related to retail electric procurement, including authorizing the superintendent or associate superintendent for administrative and support services to execute a contract with the successful provider. 3B22, consider resolution to establish prevailing wage rates for construction projects. 3B23, consider declaring vehicles 122 and 144 surplus and authorizing them for disposal. 3B24, minutes of Board of Trustees work study meeting held February 2nd, 2012. 3B25, minutes of Board of Trustees regular meeting held February 2nd, 2012. 3B26, minutes of Board of Trustees work study meeting held February 16th, 2012. Those are our consent agenda items. Are there any items that the board members wish to pull, or is there any action?
Ms. Klein,
Chaffin?
I recommend that we approve the consent agenda as amended.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it was not amended. I beg your pardon. The consent agenda as presented.
A second. Ms. Watton, thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? That is unanimous.
I guess I've gotten used to it being amended.
3C is discussion and consideration of changes made to board policies EI local, EIA local, not EIO, but EIC local. Dr. Burns?
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Klein, members of the board. I think you remember we talked about last time the state's change within the course exams and requiring a percentage of credit, and that we were a little hesitant in bringing you something because it might change. Well, guess what? It changed. And so now we have a new one with some modifications to present to you tonight, but we feel like it's the best thing to proceed forward in giving us direction based on the knowledge we have from the state. So I'll let Dr. Mayer take it from there and explain all the complicated matters related to this policy.
Thank you, Dr. Burns. All school districts in the state last week received information from the Commissioner of Education, Robert Scott, that based on input that he had received from parents, educators, State Board of Education members, as well as statutory clarification from state leaders, he actually has given local school districts the ability to defer the implementation of the statutory provision that requires performance of an end-of-course assessment to count as 15% of a student's final course grade. This has been in dialogue around the state for almost a year now. Several school districts, in fact, took policy to their boards early and then had to retrieve that because we all received a frequently asked question document from the Texas Education Agency that gave us some specific direction that we would be counting that this year. But we would like to take this opportunity not to count that in our ninth grade students' courses for this year. The commissioner has made it clear that this is a one-year only stop on for the 15% of the final course. I do think it's important, and he has stated in his communication that this law still requires students that are first entering the ninth grade this year, our current ninth graders, that they will have to achieve a cumulative score on the end-of-course assessments to complete their graduation requirements. We don't want to in any way infer, just because it will not be part of your final course grade, that it won't be counting toward graduation and a cumulative score, which is a change from what we currently do with tax. But based on this ability, what the administration recommends is amending board policy EIC local from the first reading and remove the language around the 15% grading requirement, but maintaining other changes to EIC local, and present it for a second reading tonight. And the administration would like to defer the second reading on EI local and EIA local until we see what happens regarding the 15% for the next school year.
So we're being asked to
go ahead and approve the second reading of EIC as revised a little bit from your first reading, because in that first reading it had 15% in because we thought the state was going to require it. Now that they've said we didn't, we're saying let's not put it in policy and then have to waive it because the commissioner is giving us that provision. So that's you're in the second reading of amended first reading.
So, Mr. Shore, do you have a firm grasp of what we're doing?
I have a firm grasp of what's being requested. What I don't have a firm grasp of is whether it's the right thing. My firm grasp of what's being requested is because we're no longer required to have that 15% count towards a student's grade, let's not do that. But I also have a firm grasp that that waiver is currently only a one-year waiver.
Correct.
That's
And
correct.
that it's in the pipeline to be 15% next year.
Possibly.
According to the statute, it would, because of...
And candidly,
Yeah.
as a lawyer, I don't think the commissioner can do what he's doing, but that's a different issue.
He didn't think he could in the fall, but he
Yeah, well,
thinks he
just
can
because the
now.
legislators tell them what their opinion of the law is, that really means nothing. But that's a different issue.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question. I hate myself for thinking of this. If we think that it's going to be 15% next year, why don't we count it 5% this year so we get people thinking about it?
Well, I would say to that this is a new assessment. What we know historically when we have a new assessment is that our performance across the state usually dips.
I thought it was the end of course exam.
Is the end-of-course exam. This is the very first time we will have seen the end-of-course exams this year.
But we are teaching the...
Of course, we're teaching the course, but this, in a high-stakes assessment environment, we have not seen or have data on how our students can perform. We had some field tests, we had some practice tests in the past, but the real consensus around the state, I would say, because there's been a tremendous amount of dialogue about this issue, has been that in this first year, counting it toward a grade, because this is unprecedented. We have never counted a high-stakes assessment, state assessment, external assessment, in a grade. We count it for graduation requirements, but we've not counted it in a grade. The dialogue on why we were doing that to begin with was so that students allegedly would feel that it's important. They need to try hard, because legislators evidently had gotten feedback that 9th and 10th graders maybe didn't take the test as seriously as 11th graders. But we have a new provision with the EOC that we have not had in the past with tax or any of our other assessments, and that is that the scores are going to be cumulative in nature. Therefore, the tests that students take at 9th grade will impact graduation and 10th grade and 11th grade. So there is a big reason for students, if you will, to take the test seriously from freshman year on by the way they've designed the new system. The averaging it into the grade is just an additional incentive. And I think that because we really have not seen results, and certainly we have not seen, we know that what the state standards that are going to be assessed, most of us feel like let's tread lightly here.
Okay, let me jump in here.
Okay.
If no other district is going to be counting it towards their students' grades, it counts towards graduation, but not towards the student's grade, okay? Are we prejudicing our kids if we count it for our grades 1%?
I don't know if we're prejudiced them. Is that what you asked?
In other words, okay, the test hasn't been administered before, so we don't know what it is, and it may be arduous, okay? But if our kids are just going to be compared against our kids, that the test were to count, right now I'm down, you got me down to 1%. Okay? 1%. But since they're not being compared with anybody else in the state, they're not going to be prejudiced. I'm searching for this. If they're going to be prejudiced when compared against a student in a different school district.
Well, the 1% is probably not going to be too significant, so I don't think it would make a lot of difference. But we do need to recognize that all of our students will be competing with other students with their GPA to get into universities. That's a fact. Now, what every other district's going to do, I can't really attest to, although I do know
I'm not going to count it.
Colleagues that I talk to around the state are indicating that, they will waive this and defer this first year, which is what people really wanted to do back in August, and then the commissioner said, no, I don't believe that's in the spirit of the statute, so we can't do that. But he has reversed this now, and I think it's due to a significant amount of input that he's had on this issue.
Well, and what I recall is there's a scoring system, and nobody's sure what the passing number is and how it translates into a grade.
They're supposed to establish that in February, but this is March 1st. We have not done that. Additionally, the agency, as Ms. Klein indicated, was not going to give us what we call a conversion score, conversion chart. They, you know, because with our high-stakes test, to pass it, they will break a cut score. That cut score might be at a percentage other than what we give as a passing score on a 100-point scale, because the assessment isn't going to be on a 100-point scale. So then it would be every district would have to set their own conversion chart and place that somehow on a 100-point scale. There were, let me just say, numerous thorny issues that emerged in relationship to trying to put 15% in to students' grade. It sounds simple at a 40,000 feet level, but as usual, the devil's in the details, and really working that out to where it's fair, equitable, and it was going to probably look different in every district because EEA really didn't want to tell us how to do it, or so they were going to leave it up to local districts, and local districts were doing all kinds of different things, lots of dialogue about whether it go in the GPA. Trust me, we feel pretty good about this, the altering and amending EIC local.
Yeah. And if I could complicate it even more, if that can be done, you know, the EOC can be taken over. So then you have the question of, do you let that grade, again, where do you stop? You know, and that's the, that's the, you know, the confusion in it all, because they haven't been thought through. And so as we worked through it, you know, you had to wrestle with those issues.
And it's a whole other issue.
It made it very complicated. And so in, you know, in the, I guess, the opportunity here to keep it as simple as possible.
So, Mr. Shore, do you have a motion? Is that what?
I move that we approve this quickly.
Well, but I think that there's not C that we're approving some part of C. Can you verbalize that, or would you like us to help you?
I think the way your summary is written there, if the administrator's recommendation would cover you, Mr. Shore, in your motion if you wanted to make that, because we're recommending the change.
My ears are worn out.
We're recommending the revised change and asking the board to approve that as a second reading, knowing that it wasn't exactly like the first reading.
Bring it on.
To complicate the matter even more.
I think perhaps Ms. Watten's paid closer attention. Do you understand?
Ms. Watten, do you have a
Well, let me just say that what we are asking is that you approve the second reading of the amended EIC policy.
Candy, you got that? I move that.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second by Ms. Chaffin. All those in favor? All those opposed? That is unanimous. 3D is discussion, and thank you, Dr. Mayor, for your explanations.
You're most welcome, and I think that next year for Mr. Shore's birthday, we need to buy him a box of white handkerchiefs.
What I want to know is, could Mr. Shore take this exam?
Averages is against you.
Are there practice exams that could be administered to the board so that we could understand what EOC means? Never mind.
Which course do we get to take?
That sounds like a work study. That sounds like a work study, I think.
Because it would be interesting to see the magnitude of what the course consists of. But discussion 3D, discussion of district contribution for health insurance plans for 2012-13, effective September 1st, 2012, and other 2012-13 budget-related items. Mr. Hyatt?
Thank you, Ms. Klein. I come over here just because the same information you have in your packet I've got for the screen, just in case we want to refer to it or the audience is interested. This is an item that's one of a series of difficult questions for the board and the administration to wrestle with, and it's related to our budget. In an attempt to search out alternatives, reductions in our costs, one of the proposed ideas is to reduce the district's contribution into our employees' health benefit plan. Not something suggested lightly. This is an important thing. The district currently contributes $20 more than is required to be contributed by the district considering our circumstances. So this would be reducing our contribution to the minimum required. This chart illustrates...
Our meaning the district.
Our meaning the districts,
not
exactly.
the employee.
Exactly. And I'll walk through how this kind of works. I think the chart helps it. But complicating the matter for you tonight, and this is the reason it was came to the light as a time to talk about, is that TRS actually just last month issued their rate increases for next year also. So what we have is a combining problem of the district's reducing its contribution and TRS requiring a greater total contribution so that the impact to our employees is compounded. I'll just use the top line that's shaded in the color. Mainly in the two shaded lines, I did this for illustration for tonight, just because that's where most of our employees are. Those are the two plans that over half of all of the employees in the districts are in one of those two plans. But the top one, that AC one, that's AC standing for active care, and that's the term for the insurance through the TRS. Active Care 1, and it shows that the current monthly premium, this is for employee only, is $63. TRS plan is proposing a $13 increase to that premium from TRS. If we reduce our contribution, that would be another $20 increased cost to our employees, resulting in $33 a month increase to our employees. So that'll take the monthly premium for our employees from $63 to $96 a month. The last column just indicates the number of our employees that participate in that plan. These are the various plans in the district. It's, without going into the details, it's actually in your packet, the explanation of the plans, brief explanation. The differences being the ones that are more expensive have greater extensive coverages. The ones that are less expensive have more modest coverages. Just the final point, current estimated savings to the district if we reduced our contribution by this $20 per month is approximately $566,000. This item is just a discussion item tonight. We didn't want to spring this on you and make you vote on it all in one shot. We felt like both the budget issue and the impact on our employees issue was significant enough that the board would want to have some dialogue and give us direction.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, Mr. Hite's comments there is, we did the work study last month, and we talked about things that really bubbled up to the governance level that y'all need to be wrestling with, and I think the direction we heard was to start bringing those back to you for discussion so that we would know how to proceed forward in the budget. This is one of those that obviously impacts a lot of employees. Although the savings is, $500,000 is a lot of money, obviously, it doesn't make our deficit go away. It's still something that has risen up that we believe it's the board's, privy here to kind of look at and decide.
Mr. Short?
You promised not to have Dr. Mayer answer my question. And I don't mean to monopolize this, but Mr. Hite, I asked Ms. Wells if she'd furnish us some information and told her that if she could get by July, I'd be thrilled. And I was serious about that. I'd like to get some information from you, but a little more timely than July.
Okay.
Can you prepare for the board a compilation of the following information? Okay. When's the last time that staff received an increase in their compensation? And how much was that?
Okay.
The next thing, there was about 5 or 6 items. Since that time, what actions have been taken that have decreased a staff member's compensation? And I'm really looking for 2 things with respect to this. The actions that were taken and the amounts that were, that those actions meant to your staff members?
And like this,
yeah.
exactly. And would you like us to include external and internal, or just district decisions?
I'd be curious to know external, just to be aware of that.
And the external being the TRS increase in their premiums would be
Right.
an external
That's right.
impact, okay?
This next part you may have to get from somebody in the district, but how the performance of the district has been since the date of the last increase. I think of ERG as a source of that information, but I'd certainly be curious to see how the district has performed since then. Now, with your steel trap mind, these next two are really easy. Okay.
Uh-oh.
What does a 0.5% increase across the board do for our budget / impact on fund balance? And I'd like to see that in 0.5% increments.
Sure.
And then the last thing that my brain is smart enough to think of is how much, if at all, of a tax increase would be needed to fund each 0.5% of that increase. And I'm hoping that with that information, my mind can start to deal with it.
I don't see any problem with gathering that information. It might take a little time, but
The other thing, if you could, in your network of Scrooges among school districts, try and get an idea as to what other districts are doing regarding compensation. I'd be curious in knowing what our neighbors are doing. If you can have that by 7 tomorrow morning, I'd appreciate it.
9.
9 o'clock? Okay, 9.
work for 9. The last point, and just because we had a conversation this afternoon, Dr. Burns has actually been in conversation with some of our surrounding districts recently. It's obviously way early, but Dr.
I
Burns
would
probably
say it's early, but we'll certainly inquire and find out and do the necessary research for you, Mr. Shore. And that's kind of in this stage of things coming, as we present something for you before we get to the
Keep Dr.
budget.
Mayor out of this part of it.
We won't let her complicate it. But certainly, with what you've given Mr. Hyatt, we'll try to get as much as we can, but I can't guarantee that there will be commitments from other districts, firm commitments at this point, because they're kind of, again, positioning themselves too, depending on what people are doing, so.
Ms. Watton?
I just have a problem where we keep hitting our employees with, now we're reducing the health contribution that we're making to, and many of our employees, this is their, they're the wage earner in the family. Many of them have lost their spouses, or their partners have lost their jobs. I just do not like to see us keep hitting the employees, and this is a big hit. I know that even when I was teaching that my insurance went from 0 that I had to contribute at all, the district contributed everything, to just a minimal, but then I was only insuring myself. But these people that have to insure their family insurance is incredible in this. It was when we were self-funded, but it's also incredible under TRS. And yet it's still one of the most reasonable insurance plans that there is out there. But I just do not like to see us keep hitting our employees. I'd rather see us look for other ways to cut $500,000 in our budget than to pile on more insurance. I mean, I know that check gets smaller and smaller every year, every month, because of what's being taken out of it.
Is there anything you'd like to add to Mr. Shore's list for Mr. Hyatt to work on tonight?
No, there's no. I would not do that.
Are there any other comments from the board?
Not to put you under any pressure, we will have
Which
this.
means, get ready.
We will have that information for you relatively soon and have it out to you in advance of the next board packet. But because of our open enrollment and renewal for our insurance, we will have to take action on this item next board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Hyatt. At this time, we're at item 4, comments from board members. Are there any comments any board members would like to make tonight regarding 4A posted agenda items? Hearing none and seeing none, by my determination, we've reached the end of our agenda and we are adjourned at 8:35 p.m.